Jasmine here coming at you with another episode of Golgotha, and I apologize that it has been a while, but hopefully today's episode will be a good one for you. I am joined today by my friend Lewis.
What's up, people? Excited to be here and have this little chat.
So today we are going to tackle whether or not a just God, a God that is loving, is obligated to intervene in bad situations.
So for him to stop all the bad things from happening in my life.
Yeah, that is a question I feel like a lot of people ask. So do you have any initial thoughts about that?
I mean, I've got a lot of thoughts about that. Yeah, I would like him to stop all the bad things that are happening in my life, but I know he's not going to. And do I think he's unloving for that? No, I don't believe that. Some of the bad stuff that happens to me, it's a result of my own actions, and usually it's some form of consequence. What do you think?
Sometimes you're inheriting the consequences of other people's sins. You being robbed is not a result of your own sin necessarily, but we live in a fallen world where humans make choices that have consequences. The Lord gave rulership and dominion to man. Genesis 1, right after God decided to create man in his image, he gave us keys to the house. And in Psalms, the question is also asked again, what is man that you're mindful of him, that he has dominion over the works of all of your hands. So we actually have responsibility for the things that happen on this earth. Thoughts?
When I asked the question, why is this happening in my life, and I'm like, God, why won't you stop this? Or why did you allow this to happen? Back in Deuteronomy, God had established the law, and the law was for the benefit of the people. It's not that God is like a strict God, didn't want them to have any fun, so he put all these like laws in place. No, they were for the good of his people, for them to live, peacefully and, just have a good life. But we see quickly that, that completely got messed up. And one of the things he told them is that if you obey these laws, I'm going to bless you, he said. But he said if you break these, he literally gave them the warning that one day they would be taken over by a foreign nation. And we see story after story of so much bad that God's people are doing. They know the right thing to do, but they do the opposite. There's so much murder going on, them cheating themselves out of things, a lot of greed. And this is the clean version of like what a lot of the Bible has to say. And we see continually God sending people. He sends judges over and over again to deliver them. When something bad happens, he sends somebody and like they get them out of their mess. And he sends prophets, and a prophet is a mouthpiece of God who's just trying to steer them back into God's will, but continually over and over again they do the wrong thing, and eventually it happens. One day the nation of Babylon comes, destroys the city, leaves it in ruins, takes a good chunk of the people back to Babylon to live as captives. I can imagine the people in that day saying, man, God, why did you allow them to destroy our city? Or the people are saying, God, why did you allow us to be brought here as captives? But we see that this was a promise of a long list of things that like over time built up. And I could see that in my life sometimes, like, yeah, that is the repercussions for my actions. But what about the bigger things? Like I'm talking about my actions, but what about like the bigger things in the world when we see the news, like, the horrible stuff that happens in the world?
Yeah, again, I think it goes back to the fact that we as human beings have dominion over this earth. And I like the fact that you mention all of those, the judges and the prophets and all the warnings, because you still see that there's grace there. It wasn't an instant, if you want to call it a judgment, it wasn't an instant judgment and damnation of something bad that happened, kind of on a widespread level. Humanity collectively just being a product of sin. Our hearts are always evil continuously. We're not loving our neighbors as ourselves. We're not showing kindness. I think you had mentioned a quote from Francis Chan.
Yeah, Francis Chan in his book Crazy Love, he He says this: if we were to ask God, why are there so many people starving, in this world? God would turn that question, ask us, yeah, tell me why there's so many people starving in the world. It's a product of our sin collectively in the world.
The prayer that Jesus taught people to pray, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Like,
it's my kingdom, it's my will be done.
Yeah, my will be done. Hashtag living my best life, instead of how can I be a blessing to those around me. Until we even fix the golden rule of, do to others as you'd have them do to you, we really can't start pointing fingers at God about what isn't being done and who isn't being cared for in this world, because again, that responsibility was given to us.
Could we also say that perhaps if God were to take all these bad things away, what is our role, and are we exercising free will at that point? If he's going to stop every car accident that I'm ever going to be in, every time I stub my toe, at that point, I would kind of just more feel like a pawn on a chessboard.
And it also wouldn't be good character development, because if you have a child and they're in and out of juvenile detention center, you always bail them out. At a certain point, they're not going to feel like there's a desire to improve if they always feel like somebody's going to catch every mistake that they make along the way. So I think that's a really good point.
Yeah. So do you think we answered the question?
Maybe we'll leave that to you guys to decide. If you guys feel like there's some sub questions that didn't quite get attended to, please feel free to leave a comment below and let us know what you think. We'll also give you some links to some other videos from some other pastors who address this as well. Hopefully between all of those resources, you'll have an answer to the question that makes a little more sense. It's not going to be a perfect solution. It's a tough question. It's a question people have been wrestling with from the beginning of time and probably will continue to wrestle with, but hopefully that was helpful.
Thank you for having me out. Had a great time. If you guys like me, let us know and I might come back. If not, then this might be the last time you see me.
That sounds like a great plan. And I cannot wait to see where this takes us next time.